It's time for the Margin Matters Minute with Money Man Jason Brown.
All right, welcome back everybody. Jason Brown with Margin Matters, and today we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, credit cards. I love talking about credit cards. It's quite a debate amongst my friends and family and just people in the community. Specifically, I want to talk about a blog feature that I just wrote. It's called What Billionaires Think About Credit Cards, which is really fascinating for me to research and discover, because one of the things I always tell people is never take financial advice from broke people, right? So you get this a lot, people in your family, your friends, they're real quick to give you financial advice. Well, don't worry about me, my car's being repossessed, but let me tell you how to, spend your money and budget your money. But hey, don't worry about us, we're drowning in debt. Yeah, those are the people you want to try to avoid taking financial advice from. And, sometimes we can't avoid that because it's our family that want to tell us things like that. But what I like to look at is people like Mark Cuban, who's a self-made billionaire now. And then, of course, everybody loves learning from Warren Buffett, who is one of the richest people in the entire world. So I discovered some interesting quotes from each of them recently and their thoughts and views on credit cards, which was really, I really appreciated. So I wanted to share with you guys. So Mark Cuban, he actually posted these thoughts in a blog of his several years back, and he's talking about credit cards. He's talking about how to get rich, right? How did he get rich? Here are some ways to get rich in life or to build wealth. And one of his notes is to cut up your credit cards. If you use a credit card, you don't want to be rich. The first step to getting rich requires discipline. If you really want to be rich, you need to find the discipline. And then he asks, can you? So Mark Cuban, from these quotes, he seems adamantly against any type of credit card use. He says it prevents you from getting rich. It's not a wise thing to do, etc. So then I found, they call him the Oracle, legendary investor, Mr. Warren Buffett. And he had his recent Berkshire Hathaway annual stakeholders meeting. And at that meeting, someone had asked him about credit cards. And the takeaway quote from Warren Buffett was, he said, "I think people should avoid using credit cards as a piggy bank to be rated." So basically what he's saying is, don't use a credit card as your emergency fund, or, it's a crutch, right? So it's probably a better idea to try to build an emergency savings, have some money available for emergencies that would prevent you from going into debt, as opposed to using the credit card every time there's an emergency, or if you need money, or if you need to go grocery shopping. That's kind of what Warren Buffett's saying here. Don't use the credit card as a piggy bank to be rated. And then another note from the same conversation with Warren Buffett was someone had asked him about investing, what's the best way to invest? And he shared a story, which I'm going to read to you. He shared a story from a woman who came to him and sought his financial advice. She had recently come into some money. He didn't really say how much money she had, but perhaps an inheritance or something, maybe a bonus at work. So she had come into a large sum of money. She went to Mr. Buffett and said, "Hey, Warren, what should I do with this money? How do I invest it? What's the wise thing to do?" So Warren Buffett asked her if she had any credit cards. That was the first thing he asked her. He said, what credit cards do you have? Do you have any credit card debt? And of course, the woman said that she did have credit cards, and she had a balance that she had disclosed to him, that he didn't say what the exact balance that she had, but she had a balance. And then Warren Buffett said, "Okay, well, what is the interest rate that you're paying on these credit cards?" And the woman said that she has an 18% interest on her credit cards that she's paying on. And so Warren Buffett said that his advice to her, his financial advice to her, was to pay off those credit cards as quickly as possible, because you are not going to find anything that you can invest in that pays an 18% return. So basically, by paying off the credit cards with the inheritance or whatever extra money she came into, pay those off, you're basically paying yourself the 18%. So it's you kind of look at it in reverse, right? So you're paying yourself the 18% as opposed to paying that interest, that compounding interest of 18%. So at the end of the conversation, Warren Buffett said, paying off the credit card was a much better investment idea than anything else that he could, think of for her to invest in. He said it just doesn't make sense. You can't go through life on money at those rates and be better off. So, and those were some interesting notes that I came across just in my research of credit cards and what billionaires think of credit cards. So that was something that I wanted to share with you guys. And then the other big debate with credit cards is a lot of people will say, oh, well, credit cards have great benefits. There's these, the cashback rewards I think that, Discover Card offers. A lot of people, some of my friends have airline credit cards, so you get the points and you get free flights and there's all these different perks and benefits. And that's all fine and good, but the only problem is most of us are not disciplined enough to pay off your credit card balance at the end of each month. If you can do that, now I know some people that can do that, and it works for them. They have a system, they're disciplined, they have the willpower, they're disciplined enough to pay off the balance at the end of each month, and then they're taking advantage of all these perks and benefits that the individual credit card might offer. That's all fine and good. I would be willing to bet the overwhelming majority of us do not have that discipline in place to pay off a credit card in full at the end of each month. And that's where you get into trouble, because right now the credit card interest rates are at an all-time high, averaging between 20 and 30% interest rate. That's insane. That's criminal. You don't want any part of it. You want to avoid that at all costs, because what happens is if you just start paying the minimum balance, that interest rate starts accruing. It starts compounding, and that's how you dig yourself into a bigger hole. So those are some things I wanted to share about credit cards today. Just do your best to avoid credit cards if you can. Really any debt, avoid as much as you can. But the bigger lesson in this video is seek out wise counsel, seek out advice. If you want to be rich, hang around rich people. If you want to, don't get advice from broke people. That's the basic the goal of this video. So if you want to check out that blog I just mentioned, you can go to yourmarginmatters.com, and there I post all my blogs. You can subscribe to my blogs as well and have them emailed to you every time I post. Also, please support my videos and subscribe. Really appreciate that. And one last note, if you want more information from me, I wrote a book called Margin Matters: How to Live Off a Simple Budget and Crush Debt Forever. You can find that on Amazon. It's a tremendous book. There's a lot of good information in there. A lot of individuals that I interviewed share their walks of life about finances. So check that out as well. And final note, this is Jason Brown saying, remember, it's not the amount of money you make, but the margin that matters the most. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.